Hey, good morning. We're here at our little shop where we work on our boats and do our home projects. We're going to do a quick run through of things we've learned over decades of how we like to set things up and get going on woodworking projects. The started off with just a little corner in a garage, probably about 2 by 3 feet, little pegboard, small bench. And what we did was we moved things outside onto the driveway when we wanted to cut, backyard, wherever. Find a flat spot and go to work there with a little card table you can set up. You can see that down at the end of the boat here. Fold up, put back up out of the way. And as we got more room and added to the collection, we're in a 12 by 20 shop now. We're in a 16 by 20 before. So the space, if you're wondering how much space you need, it really doesn't matter. It's however much space you have, you'll fill that up and want more. So if you could have a 40 by 60 and it would probably be jam-packed. But things have kind of found their own places through the years. We like these little wire shelves. They're adjustable. You can move them around and change them to whatever height you need. This one we set up for a dust collection system, shop vac into a dust deputy cyclone that we can use to either vacuum up the shop or find an adapter for your tool system and hook it up onto your little whatever tools you're using. So our shop kind of flows from the design stage where we have patterns from past projects, ideas, and on down through tools that we have for cutting and marking. So first thing with wood is cut it all apart and then you want to put it all back together. So mark it, cut it, then screw it or nail it back together, and then at the end you're probably wanting to sand. And that's how our little shelf is down here. It goes from a circular saw, this little oscillating tool, jigsaw, which is out on a job right now, and then screwdrivers, impact drill, just a regular drill. We've got our routers, and sander was back over behind us because that's where the vacuum is. Got to hold things together, so you might need clamps. You can find them in a local flea market or website or order them off the internet. But the thing I wanted to focus on today, though, is personal protection. We used to say it's always fun until someone gets their eye poked out. Of course, in the Marine Corps, we would say, and then it's hilarious. But it's not really hilarious. It's not any fun to have to interrupt what you're playing with to head to the ER to get a little cut stitched up, those types of things. So if you put your equipment or your personal protective equipment handy, then it's always right here, the first thing you walk into the shop. So we have eye protection, we got some nitrile gloves, we got mask, got hearing protection. And so that's kind of always in a good spot where you can get to it. And don't just buy one, buy two. And you can, if a friend comes over and you're cutting something, you may want to have them throw on, even if they're off to the side, some glasses or those types of things. So our basic equipment, we've got some safety glasses, and these actually have they're bifocal, so about a 1.25 diopter lens on the bottom to see small things if you need it. Your mask, they vary depending on what you're working on. This one's good for the dust of the wood we're cutting. 3M8511. The N95, the numbers mean things. If you're working with oils, other oily type chemicals, you want to go with the masks that start with P. 95 means it takes out 95% of the particulates in a certain size. 100 will take out all of them. So if you're working with something oily and smelly and you know it has some safety data sheet information on the back of it and you're still smelling it, you're probably wearing the wrong mask. You need to bump up, do a little more research, find out if you need a full face or a better mask. So protect the eyes, and then little hearing protectors, and our little trick is just tie them onto your glasses so when you grab them, you already got those. Gloves, when we've been drilling things, we find out sometimes maybe we drill too far. And a little glove helps protect hands from splinters, especially, is the number one thing. There's a drawback to gloves. You don't want to get them close to a rotating bit because it can grab a glove, especially little nitrile gloves, and twist it. So just, think about what you're doing and buy the protective equipment that works for you. And speaking of goggles, there's one other type of goggle. If we're doing a lot of sawing or a lot of sanding on paint or fiberglass, then we'll go to these. These are made by DeWalt. They're called concealers. They have little air vents on the side, but that covers the entire eye. It fits over the mask pretty good, and so you've got good protection there. About the only thing you can do above that is go to a full face, eye, and respiratory protection. But we also like it because our the little we call them cheaters, the little cheap eyeglasses you can wear will fit underneath these, so you can, you can't see what you're working on, then you can't get a good cut on it. And as we got older, late 50s, started needing to have a little bit of help with the eyeballs there. But certainly the biggest help is not getting something stuck in it. So that protective equipment, like I say, just when you come in the shop, know where it is, have spares. Don't resist the urge to jump on a project because you're out of mask or can't find where your safety glasses are. So back to moving things around. We can roll all of this equipment out of the shop if we need to make space for something, or if we just want to work on something outdoors on a nice day. So along that theme, if you put in a little workspace outside a little shop, you're going to probably find out you end up wanting a deck next to one of the doors where you can have a flat surface, roll things in and out to create that space you need, or to get your work outdoors on a nice day like it is today. Upstairs, we found one shelf that we can reach easily with light items. It is about as high as we want to go nowadays, with some cleanup equipment. Skipper came up with this idea for some of your basic tools, versus a pegboard taking up wall space. These are right here, you can grab them and off you go. And the ones that are out are the ones we use the most. We do have some specialty screwdrivers for the boats we work on that fit the particular types of screws or drain plugs that we're trying to take out. And then what's fun is if you find a flea market, you find a little tool, you'll learn about it. Little specialty tool. This is to mark lines along a object, and you can adjust how far. If you want a straight line down the edge of a board, just put it on there and scribe it. You don't necessarily have to have a pencil to mark a line. You can dent those wood fibers and they show up usually long enough for you to get it cut. So sometimes it's neat to find old tools like that. Got our selection of old planes up there. And planes, which ones do you want to buy? Well, the ones you want, the ones you're going to use. So the old standard is kind of the jack of all trades. Master of none is a Stanley number 5. It's a good hand size. You won't get too tired using that all day, but you'll find the bigger the work you got to do, the bigger the plane you might be grabbing, and then eventually you might get down to needing a little thumb plane to finish up your work. And one of our favorites, if you're trying to round off some edges, is a little it's called spoke shave, Stanley number 5, and you can go down edges and work your way around the edge of a board. Take a square rectangular board into a round board. We use that a lot when we're making masts and spars, and booms, etc. for boats out of wood. Another little rolling cart. We've got them color-coded port and starboard. Yeah, you might notice in our shop we put in a motion detector for the lights, so if we move around a little bit, it comes on. Here's our paint locker here. Here's planer, which we paid full price for. Here's a little bandsaw and a little drill press that we got off of Facebook Marketplace from somebody. So let's see. I think our little motion detector's not playing today because I put this pole saw right in front of it. A few more items you might see over here. This is kind of our gardening corner. And you'll probably want a little small, they call it it's like a crowbar, except it's smaller. They call it a pry bar to help remove nails and fasteners from old wood you're working in. And then it's always good to have a fire extinguisher that's suitable for the type of materials you're working with. This shed had 2 lofts on either end. We took one out on the other end, and then there's only a few items up here, and over time we might make this door bigger on this end because it's only 6 feet right now. So anyone who's at 6 feet or higher has to remember to duck when they come through. So if you do look to buy a shed, we got this one because during pandemic that's what they had on the lot and we could get it. It was going to be months to years before we got something else, but it's barn style. So the top plate, which I'm talking about, right there, only goes up to 6 feet. Some folks would have preferred 8-foot walls with a traditional gable or hip style roof, but those weren't available in the sizes we wanted, so we went with this and we made it work. Then on the other end, it had a loft and no door, and we put a French door on the end to open up the space and create airflow, which it's almost like a wind tunnel in here right now. And had the room to put another little work deck out at the end there. So you'll have to do some additional framing to get that going, but that's what you got to do. And boy, look at this. I left this shed open. Man, this thing has not been open for more than 5 or 6 hours at a time. So there's some little squirrel, I'm guessing, maybe bird, wanting to make something up there. We'll have to check and make sure it's not a bird nest and with little eggs in it. So it's probably not working out too well because this gets closed up every night. And I'll swing you back around here. These windows we also added. So once again, someone was asking about adding a window or a door. It's like, well, you can stand there and study the framing that's already in here and see. We had to come over and put another stud here with the boards above it and below it to frame in the windows. And so these studs go all the way from the top plate down to the bottom plate and carry the load of the shed. And you can kind of put the new ones in and then take the old ones out, cut your hole for your windows. And they did a similar thing. You just want to make sure over your doors you've got this additional framing. You know, there's not just one stud, there's 2, and then there's this whole stack up of boards to carry the load here. Probably not super critical in a small shed like this, but you don't want to spend the money on a door and then have it end up being sagging on you later, not open or close properly. But our primary thing like today was I think focusing on shop safety, protecting yourself, protecting your shop. Don't store oily rags in here. You folks that are working with epoxy, you get it on some type of a rag or paper towel. That stuff gets hot. It's exothermic, it puts off heat. That's how it cures. And there's been instances of fires, cooking off, something getting hot, and if you got other combustible material nearby, then you can go up. We like to keep the shop mostly clean so we don't have loads of sawdust floating around, and help reduce the amount of stuff. If something did start smoldering, it's not just a tinder box right next to it. Here's our shelf on the other end. We got fasteners. We take tools that we don't use too often. We put them in little spare toolboxes and label what's in there. We try to keep like types of tools together. You know, metal, we don't use a whole lot of metal bits or a lot of metal stuff that requires socket wrenches, etc., but we do have them. They are in here. And like all the items, for example, that we need to finish the ends of lines so they're not all raveled and ugly looking, we've got a kit of all the items we need in there with some tape and whipping line and scissors, knives, etc. Here's our toolbars. If you want your own toolbar, then you have to buy a second one because the skipper gets hers her tools color coded pink. Of course, she's going to take any one she wants, but that's how we've got it set up. We hope this is helpful for people who are getting going and don't know what they want to get yet, but just start with, you know, the tool or two that you need for the job that you're looking at. Do you need to buy corded or battery powered? Well, it depends. Whether sometimes there's great sales for small jobs, you know, for things up to 2x4s, 2x6s, and you're not cutting a bunch of them. These little tools work great. So here's the drill you need. We've got our jigsaw, our little circular saw, impact driver. And then you find that these little buckets come in handy to, if you're working out in the yard, to carry everything you need out there so it's not hanging off of a tool belt. Here's a little pry bar I was telling you about. It's good to get those fasteners out. They've got a little level, hammer. So once again, you can see there's groups of tools, you know, tools to take things apart and tools to put things back together. Tools for keeping things square, plumb, and level. If you're working in the yard, your yard's going to move, so you can start off square, plumb, and level, but over a period of time, it's probably going to change. If you want to check your codes, whether you have to go down deep below a frost line to put in pilings, or if you live in an area where you're sitting on hard clay, you can just build some items on top of concrete blocks and put some tie-down anchors around it. So current project's a little clubhouse, and this little tool wagon we had to carry our toolboxes around is what's running support for this. So little empty nail boxes can become holders for things you're marking with, your carpenter squares, tape measures, your little Sharpie. And here's something we do is we like the Sharpie tip is just about the width of the saw blades we use. So that line that you cut, it's called a kerf. So as long as we make that little Sharpie mark go away with our saw blade, we've got the cut we want. So we hope y'all are having fun out there and being smart and being safe while you're doing it. And we'd love to hear your tips, the things you like to do, what you found, what you've discovered along the way. We'll exchange that knowledge back and forth. That about does it.